So to see this kind of activity is a little bit disappointing.
The victim, who was in his 20s, had a man and a woman in his car, but they were not hurt.
About 5:45 on Wednesday. A little bit of an unusual day. Lakeshore Drive is closed at Fullerton. There's apparently a fatal shooting on Lakeshore Drive, so a lot of news crews out. There's like helicopters all over. Police are shutting down one of the major arteries in the city. It's gonna create some havoc. This is part of my normal route. I come here probably 3 or 4 times a week. So I just got interviewed by the news. There was a shooting out here, fatal shooting on Lakeshore Drive. Tons of news crews out. This entire run, I'm on mile like 4.5 of my run. I got a little bit more to go. But this entire run has just been like helicopters all over the place. There's 1, 2, 3. There's one over there. Oh no, there it is. Over by the moon, 4, and I saw a 5th one fly by as well.
Member.
It's a surprise because you don't usually hear about that. I run along the lakefront path 4 or 5 times a week, and it's usually just really quiet. So to see this kind of activity is a little bit disappointing.
The victim, who was in his 20s, had a man and a woman in his car, but they were not hurt. Meanwhile, the shooting shut down Lakeshore Drive from Hollywood to Fullerton for about 3 hours, and the crime had people thinking about their safety.
One week ago, I posted a video called "Chicago, Is It Safe?" where I talked about whether or not, despite all the news reports about gun violence and other just crime generally in Chicago, do I feel safe here? And I said that I did. Fast forward 1 week, and this morning there was a fatal shooting exactly 1 mile from where I live. Now there are certain things that are different about this last event that probably or would change a lot of people's minds. One, it's much closer to home than other shootings that tend to be in Chicago. And 2, it was an area where shootings generally don't really occur. Now other kind of like factors on the other side of the scale are that it happened at 3:45 in the morning, and I'm rarely out at 3:45 in the morning. And the news was very quick to report that this was gang related. Now I don't know why that would make people feel better. I mean, I guess it makes people feel better in that it wasn't a carjacking. It wasn't some sort of like Fast and the Furious style highway robbery. Not that, even if that were happening, that wouldn't concern me. I mean, I guess there isn't much that could shake me. If that doesn't shake me, what can? I don't know, there's not much. Except to say, I think I'm just numb. I'm numb to it. You hear about it every day. We joke on Mondays that other cities report sports scores on Monday from the weekend. In Chicago, we count our dead and wounded. And it's true, like on Mondays, it's like 24 shot over the weekend, 17 killed. That's a frequent kind of headline. So you get numb to the idea of shootings, senselessness, randomness. I mean, I think the other thing that might change my mind is if I started seeing that, like, some of the worst stories that you hear in some of the most affected neighborhoods. Stories like, you know, kids playing inside their homes and getting shot by stray bullets, things like that. Or kids sitting like in the front porch in their front yards and getting affected. That, I think, would change my mind if that were happening here. It's not. But it's not like this area is like crime-free. Over the last fall and summer, there was a lot of muggings. There was even a couple of carjackings very close in the area. Further into some of the residential areas here too, where there's a lot of, you know, row houses and 3 flats, things like that. So areas that you would think would be even more sequestered or secluded and less likely to have that kind of activity. Things were happening there, so people were concerned. A lot of the local parents were concerned because it happened in an alley near a popular playground. And so there's always things like that that tend to happen every once in a while. I'll see on the news pretty much once every like summer that there's like sexual assaults that are happening in like the Wrigleyville, Lincoln Park, Lakeview areas. I think what would bother me more is if there were some way of tracking the results of those crimes. Did they ever catch the person who did them? Did they ever make any arrests? You never hear reporting like that, and I'm not blaming anyone that those stories don't exist, because they're harder to report, they're harder to track. It takes a lot more time and analysis, and it's a lot less of a scare value. But you know, that knowing that like people can do those kinds of things and get away with them, that would be more terrifying to me. But absent that information, these are just, it's more information along the senselessness of modern society spectrum, and it neither helps nor hurts. It's kind of, it has an existential problem of, okay, so what? I can't change the way I live my life exactly based on any of this information. I can't change I'm not going to conceal carry. I'm not going to start carrying a weapon to protect myself. I don't think that's very sensible in a city. And so, what do you do? I don't know. What can I do with that information? I don't know. But if crime rates and the locations of crimes are important to you, you can easily search ChicagoTribune.com. They have like a crime map. And so every homicide and other violent crimes that happen in the Chicago area, they keep a map. And so you can search by neighborhood. And so if you look at, you know, Lakeview, the neighborhood that I live in, or Lincoln Park, the neighborhood where the shooting happened, this isn't the first, this won't be the last. This is a very callous way of putting it. I don't mean to diminish lives lost or lives shattered by violence or crime, but it just happens. I hope that it doesn't happen to me or my family. We try to keep our wits about us, use our common sense, try to educate our children well in terms of what to watch out for. Hopefully they'll be street smart, whatever that means, living in Lakeview. That's all we can do. I mean, it's like, if you live your life concerned about like proximity to things, you're gonna have to, by necessity, live out in the middle of nowhere and isolate yourself. And so, you know, we have to tolerate some sort of level of danger. And the question is does Chicago have too much of that? Are we tolerating too much of it? I'm not sure. Maybe we are. You know, we've had other friends, or not friends, but like people that we've met, other parents who have left Chicago for a variety of reasons. One of them being, you know, the crime rates. But, you know, I don't know anyone, I could be wrong, I don't know anyone that's left purely because of the crime rate. I've known people that have left because they're concerned about the city's financial stability. They're concerned about property taxes. They're concerned about how much space they do or don't have. That's what I think is the main motivator. They're concerned about job availability and security. I think that's probably the secondary motivator. But I don't think like just the crime rate is what's pushing people into or out of cities. And so maybe I'm being callous, but maybe I'm being realistic. I'm not sure. But, you know, I was thinking about it some more, and I think that even if things did start happening in my community that are different than these seemingly random or unusual for this neighborhood type of events, I don't think it would drive me away. I think it would make me invest more in my neighborhood. It would make me invest more in terms of communicating with my alderman, in terms of communicating with local police, in terms of communicating with my neighbors, in terms of how we can make this geographic area a real neighborhood and a real community. I think that's what I would do. But I'm very fortunate in that I don't have to make those decisions, because overall, I feel like where I live in Chicago, my life, I feel like we're safe. And that's good.
Yo, what's going